Welcome to the third installment of my GOP journey to health and vitality. I've just finished on week 8 on a Zepbound or tirzepatide, which is now titrated at 7.5 milligrams. And I've already seen what this medication can do in helping a senior like myself to lose that unwanted and unhealthy weight. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that you do not miss any of these weekly updates. And I promise that each week I will review my previous week, the ups and the downs, and what I'm learning on my journey, but also what I'm learning from the research into the science behind not only these GLP-1 type medications, but also about new healthy habits, which are meant to serve not only myself, but all of us seniors as we attempt to get to a better place of health and vitality. If this is your first time on the channel, well, let me introduce myself. My name is George Logan. I'm 66 years old, happily married for 37 plus years, with 3 adult children and 5 beautiful grandchildren, the youngest of which is 4 months old just a few days ago. I'm a biological scientist, and I'm the principal of an environmental consulting firm in Connecticut. I have several comorbidities, including obstructive sleep apnea, high cholesterol, and high blood pressure, for which I'm being treated and have been for some time. I am not a doctor. What I present in this channel is not medical advice. For that, please consult your own doctor, just as I have. I'm just giving you my read, my understanding of the science, and my own experience as a senior on a GLP type 1 medication. So let me review next where I stand at the beginning of week 9. How exciting. All right, so what do we see here? Well, this slide shows my progress thus far, and lo and behold, a couple of photos showing me close to my maximum weight over the years. Top right, one of my son's graduations, May 2019. Probably just shy, a hair shy of 300 pounds. Bottom center, September 2011, about 295 pounds. The chart at the top shows my weight loss over the past 8 weeks, and the graphic in the bottom shows my current weight as of today, or actually it's yesterday, as I'm recording this today, at 234.8 pounds. I think I've dropped another 0.4 since that time. This translates to an average of 22.7 pounds of loss per week. My goal as of now is 185 pounds, as it says there in the bottom right of that chart, which is about what I weighed when I was married to my darling wife 37 years ago. In my last video, we went through the importance of consuming the right amount and the right quality of protein while on GLP-1 medications, especially for our seniors who can suffer from a condition called sarcopenia, which is the loss of muscle as we age compared to those younger than us. And in this video, what I will do is summarize the role of the importance of fiber in our diets, generally, but especially when on our GLP-1 journey. So, to our next slide. So, why is fiber important? In this slide, we see several important benefits of fiber intake. First, glycemic control and satiety. Well, glycemic control refers to our body's ability to manage blood glucose or sugar levels. Satiety is the sensation of fullness after we have a meal, which should suppress further eating, but sometimes doesn't, especially when it has been recognized that obesity is a disease. And so that's why I'm on a GLP-1 medication. Now, soluble fiber in particular has been shown to improve A1C levels, glycated hemoglobin, in type 2 diabetes meta-analysis. Now, you might hear the term meta-analysis from me in the future videos, so let me explain. These are statistical methods that combine the results of multiple independent studies to find a broader, more precise conclusion about, in this case, type 2 diabetes from the consumption of fiber. Now, fiber consumption has also been shown to improve cardiovascular health by lowering LDL, which is the low density lipoprotein cholesterol. We often refer to that as the bad cholesterol. And if we have high levels of LDL, it can accumulate in our arteries and form plaque, and that therefore narrowing arteries and increasing the risk for heart disease, stroke, and other cardiovascular problems. And soluble fiber also supports CHD, or coronary heart disease reduction. I would just say on that alone, please pass on the kale and hold back the donuts. And here's where it comes to become important for our seniors on GLP-1s. Perhaps the most common side effect from GLP-1 receptor agonist is constipation, which makes sense since GLP-1 slow gastric emptying. And if we know anything, we know this: fiber is our number one defense against constipation. And boy, do I know that very well. Finally, and this is something that has not been fully understood until recently, fiber has a wonderful prebiotic effect on gut health. So here's something very interesting. GLP-1s, or glucagon-like peptide 1, is a gut hormone. It's naturally secreted primarily in our intestines, also in other places, but primarily our intestines. And food is what stimulates this production. But our GLP-1 receptors are more plentiful in the lower portion of our small intestines, where something we call the ileic brake takes place, which slows gastric emptying and mobility of food, which produces satiety. But listen to this one. The highest concentration or density of GLP-1 receptors is actually in our colon, or our large intestine. And the colon is the primary site of fiber digestion, where there are specialized gut bacteria which are responsible for fermentation and breaking down soluble fiber into short, chainy, fatty acids, or SCFA. These SCFAs play crucial roles in maintaining health and well-being, and they're very important in metabolic regulation by suppressing appetite and reducing fat storage, or our body's bent to store fat, and improving insulin sensitivity. And they even play a role in immune function. Well, the later function is a discussion currently above my pay grade, but I might return to that at a future video. And let's not also forget insoluble fiber. Not soluble, but insoluble, which is less fermented in our colon, but which provides bulk, retains water, and speeds up transit to the exit. And we know what that is, right? Just checking. So is fiber important? My goodness me. Shouldn't like it, right? Okay, so let's move on to the next slide and see what else we can actually learn. So here comes the question, the all-important question. How much fiber should we seniors consume, especially when we are on GLP-1s? Well, for ladies over 51, according to the National Academy's DRIs, or dietary reference intakes, which are minimum values, the ladies need 21 grams per day, and for us gents, which are over 51 years of old, 30 grams per day. But heuristic guidelines, which are these broader rule of thumb guidelines, suggest about 14 grams per day per 1,000 calories of food intake. So if you're consuming a bit over 2,000 calories per day, say, that will be about 30 grams per day. However, again, the practical goal for many on GLP-1 GLP-1 medication is a bit higher. In my experience, it's more than 30 grams, closer probably to 40 or even more than that. That's what has worked for me. So the constipation is not much of an issue at that point. But listen, fiber without water does not work. It can clog up the works. So here's to you. And believe me, I'm talking from experience here. If you think you're drinking enough water, you're not. To start, increase it by at least 50%. And we will touch on water intake in a future installment. So the take-home message, if you're in GLP-1s, repeat after me. Fiber is my friend. Fiber is your friend. And I'm not fibbing, or is it fibering? Fibbing. All right, so let's go on to the next slide. Again, here's to you. All right. So you might say, hey, George, I thought fiber was fiber. Well, my friends, apparently there are different types, and they do different things for us. Soluble fibers. Very important, as we've already discussed. They're found in oats, say, in barley, which have beta-glucans, which is a type of polysaccharide, or a bunch of sugar molecules bound together, or complex carbohydrates, if you will, which, among other things, stimulates the immune system and even helps, listen to this, kill cancer cells. Yikes. Here's a mantra for all of us. Ready? Repeat after me. Food is medicine. Food is medicine. In other soluble fibers, again here we have psyllium, found in the outer husks of plantain seeds. I forget the exact species. And pectins, also found in the peels and flesh of fruit like apples and citruses, including the skins for apples. But if you don't like the apple skins, I peel mine because I'm a little concerned about pesticides, unless you want to go fully organic. And then we have insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber, that makes sense. It's soluble. Insoluble, not so much. That's found in foods like wheat bran, veggies, skins of fruit, or whole grains. And these we also need, since they, as we said, add bulk and help us to be regular. Better than irregular, I suppose, although I've been accused of being irregular, but that's another discussion. Or maybe that's a compliment. Not sure. At any rate, finally, we have fermentable prebiotic fiber, such as inulin and resistant starches. Resistant. Well, inulin, which I take as a supplement, is found naturally in various plants, including Jerusalem artichokes, chicory, onions, and garlic. I love garlic, which also has other benefits, talking about garlic. So inulin selectively stimulates the growth of beneficial bacteria in the gut and improves digestion, and it reduces inflammation and boosts the immune system. And all that, and it also, let's see, reduces constipation. And let's not forget resistant starches, which are fermented in our colon. And these are found in legumes, whole grains, and seeds like flax seeds. And these have multiple health benefits. They improve gut health, they reduce blood sugar levels, again, reduce inflammation, and in our case, help in weight management. And all this from just fiber alone. Who would have thunk? Is not all this amazing, what our bodies are able to do? But we have to give it the right stuff, right? So onward to the next slide. So if we need to bulk up on fiber, yeah, pun intended, where do we get it from? And what are some high fiber foods? And here, this is just the partial list. There's many more. Look at raspberries. A cup of about 8 grams of fiber. Pears are good. Black beans, just a half a cup, up to 9 grams. 9 grams from just a half a cup of black beans? My goodness. We can do that, right? And lentils. Lentils. Oh, one of my favorite foods. The lowly lentil. Well, here I give a little bit of my background. Uh, I'm a kind of a Mediterranean hybrid here. Lentils. Perhaps one of the most underrated foods known to man. High in fiber, high in protein, with both soluble and insoluble fiber. It promotes satiety. It does all these amazing stuff that we just discussed. And also rich in micronutrients, essential vitamins, iron, magnesium, potassium, folate, zinc, and the list goes on. Honestly, lentils, which I had yesterday for dinner, have so many benefits. And it would take probably at least an hour to explain of what lentils can do for you, but don't worry, we'll just move on here. So look at all these other high fiber foods. Brussels sprouts, yeah, I know, acquired taste. Oatmeal, especially the more organic type, not the one that's already been processed. Chia seeds, that's another video. Avocado, whole wheat pasta, in moderation. And of course, edamame, aka soybeans, which has similar benefits as lentils, just a little higher in calories. But then you ask, well, what about supplements? Well, that's the next slide. There are many on the market, and they're highly recommended by yours truly, and also by my doc, Dr. K, in my case. It helps to get us GLP users to that higher intake level, and it removes some of the initial guesswork. We're trying to do other things, plenty of things, and so we don't know exactly where we are to start. So psyllium husks are our favorite. As it says here, you start with 3 to 5 grams once daily with water, of course, 8 ounces. And then you can slightly increase it as tolerated. And you need to separate it from any oral meds by at least 2 hours and take with, again, plenty of water. And for beta-glucan fiber, we should concentrate on food. Food first, always. Oat bran, steel cut, old-fashioned oats, barley. And again, target 3 grams per day for LDL benefit. And these other ones, we have to be a bit more frugal with them, like inulin, wheat dextrin, guar gum, which are all generally recognized as being safe. But as the slide says, start slow, go slow, don't overdo it. I take a good part of my fiber supplementation in the morning, separate from any of my meds, which I only take at night anyhow, especially psyllium. But I also take inulin at night, but not a big dose. So let's move on to the next slide and wrap this baby up, shall we? All right. So what are some practical summary tips for GLP-1 users? Titrate or increase your fiber gradually and give your gut microbes time to adjust. You're just increasing your fiber, you got to give those microbes some time to increase in abundance in order to take advantage of the fiber. And your body, believe me, will thank you if you go slow. Also, distribute fiber across meals, paired with fluids. Again, very important. So you can take supplementation in the morning if you will, and maybe a little bit at night. But try to have fiber from real foods with each meal. And also remember, water is your friend. If constipated, prioritize psyllium and food fiber, and do so. Maybe do some walking or other form of movement. That does help. Believe me, going up and downstairs for 10 times does help. And if necessary, you can use some over-the-counter options. I will preempt myself with an OTC mild laxative on the day of my injection. And when I titrate up, like I did this past week, on the GLP-1 med, and I take something like Miralax, for instance. And what I've noticed that it helps for those 2 first days after the injection because you have a slightly higher dose before it equalizes, if you will. But again, use with caution, and it is best if you have your conversation with your doctor not only on the OTCs, but also generally with fiber intake. Like this chart here says, consult your clinician if you have severe GI symptoms or history of bowel obstruction. You don't want that. Well, my friends and fellow seniors, that's it for this installment. I hope this was helpful to you. And remember, fiber is your friend. And repeat after me, food is medicine. And I hope to see you next time when we will dive in deep into another important aspect of your GLP journey, our journey to health and vitality. What is that, you may ask? Exercise and resistance training. And maybe, just maybe, we will visit my little gym downstairs where it all happens. Until then, my friends, be at peace and enjoy the journey. Ta-da!